This is the warrant and supporting affidavit that Customs and the U.S. Attorney's Office used to steal my property some years ago. It's a masterpiece of artifice and deceit. When I first read it, I knew the allegations were incorrect, but its insidious lies were so well woven into half-truths, I couldn't tell whether or not it was brought in good faith. So, believing I had rights, not to mention threatened with arrest if I didn't turn over my property, I complied. But primarily I complied because I believed I had a right to due process of law, an opportunity to verify this seizure's lawfulness, and, if found to be unwarranted, a manner and means by which to hold accountable those who instituted it. What I didn't realize, though, was that in order to assert your right to due process of law, you must first get into a court of law. July of 1997, petition to the district court for due process. Denied. August of 1997, petition to the district court. Denied. October of 1997, petition to the district court. Denied. October of 1998, petition to the district court. Denied. December of 2001, petition to the district court. Denied. July of 2002, petition to the district court. Denied. December of 2002, petition to the district court. Denied. June of 2003, petition to the circuit court. Denied. December of 2003, petition to the circuit court. Denied. March of 2004, petition to the district court. Denied. June of 2004, petition to the Supreme Court of the United States. Denied. December of 2004, petition to the Supreme Court. Denied. April of 2009, petition to the Supreme Court of the United States for due process of law. Denied. And that's not even the half of it. I've exhausted every avenue I can think of to bring an end to this criminal matter, only to watch every department, agency, and court in this government shield and protect these treasonous frauds. And in case there's any doubts as to the true nature of this warrant and intent of those who brought it, irrefutable investigation and evidence shows the factual basis upon which it was brought to have been sheer fabrication. And the intent of those who brought it was to steal, remove property rights without warrant, not for any greater good or good faith cause, mind you, but just to promote and protect a criminal organization masquerading as law enforcement that utilizes the Treasury Asset Forfeiture Program and these seizure laws by which to promote themselves and complement their wages. Outrageous, isn't it? Especially when you consider that this warrant was signed on July 3rd, 1997, because as admitted to me by these supposed agents, they were afraid that if they didn't get their hands on my property before that long holiday weekend to celebrate our independence from such oppression, they might miss the chance. And today, July 3rd, 2009, in 12 years later, in spite of a criminal indictment that documents these crimes and the treasonous abuse of our powers by the federal law enforcement community, this government stands silent. The undeniable verdict in this case is that as a nation, we have fallen. We've lost our government. There's no longer a Bill of Rights, nor a Constitution for that matter, because if there were, then I should have been able to hold these criminals accountable, which brings me back to July of 1997. You see, I only complied with this warrant because I believed I had rights. Think about it. If I knew that I were to be denied not only my property, but my right to due process, accountability in this matter, then why would I have cooperated? To have turned over my property just because of the threat of arrest would have been to acquiesce to extortion. And when you remember that government can't do anything but by the powers and monies we provide, then that equates to my having not only empowered and paid these criminals to steal from me, but to protect themselves from me for the past 12 years. Because here I sit, wasting my time and money trying to assert my constitutionally protected rights, just to find out at this late juncture that this government merely utilizes the facade of our Constitution as a means by which to garner our cooperation. Then, once they get our property, They deny us our Constitution's substance, our God-given rights. A fraud racket if I ever saw one. What citizen of the United States would stand still for this? Our founders collectively possessed a number of outstanding attributes, but it wasn't those attributes which brought the United States into existence. Students of history, yes, learned in the science of law and weaknesses of man, to be sure. But it wasn't until these men stood up and asserted their inalienable rights, declared their independence from the most powerful entity on the face of the earth at that time, that they stood free. Until then, they were but servants, subject to the arbitrary and capricious rule of men, arrogant men, belligerent men. Make no mistake, they knew in their hearts what fate would befall them for standing up for what was rightfully theirs. Because despots and tyrants can't have their subjects standing up and taking back their own liberties, their own powers. This is why the founders of this nation pledged their honor, their fortunes, and their very lives in this sacred pursuit we still term the United States of America. Because if they had failed, they most assuredly would have paid with their lives. And to this Declaration of Independence, their most outstanding attribute was their ability to convey so much wisdom, so much history, in these few words. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. We must, therefore, acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation, and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind. Enemies in war, in peace, friends. On this 3rd day of July, 2009, I, Brian Kilcullen, an American with the unequivocal material knowledge that this government is defrauding and denying us our God-given rights, do hereby acquiesce in the necessity and disavow this nation's federal government, its departments, its agencies and officers. I declare their ranks to be riddled with the disingenuous, the belligerent, and the criminal, so much so as to obviate any servitude to the United States Constitution or to those from where this nation's just powers derive. We, the people. They are not to be entrusted with the liberty, let alone the lives of free men, as to do so is to place the powers of the people into the hands of the criminal, the tyrant. And this I can no longer do. This I will not do. Now, if my Declaration of Liberty, this Independence holiday, should cost me my liberty, or worse, my life, then we will know that we have placed our liberties, our powers, our very lives into the hands of some of the most disingenuous and criminal peoples in our society. Tyrants who will spare no expense, that being ours, to deny us what is rightfully ours. The United States of America in name only. An unspoken, or in this instance, a silent tyranny. Tacitus Dominatus. Leaving those of us Americans who would rather fight for our liberties than to acquiesce to such criminals, and this government today, whatever you wish to call it, anything but friends, because tyrants and free men are always enemies in war. So say I, Brian Kilcullen, this 3rd day of July, 2009, I will not go silently into tyranny.